What's going on, everybody? It's Davey from the 80s, and you are now entering the Cinema Chop Shop, so park your ass right there. And right there, don't forget to hit the like, the share, the subscribe button. Also, if you check the link below, you'll see a Patreon account. If you click it, you can become a member. All you got to do is try to recommend movies and music and trailers for me to react to, so click the link. Now, with that being said, we're here today to review Air from Amazon Studios, a 2023 Ben Affleck directed movie produced by Ben Affleck and Matt Damon, starring Ben Affleck and Matt Damon, and Jason Bateman, and Marlon Wayans, and Chris Messina, Chris Tucker, Viola Davis, and the list freaking goes on. This movie has a very star-studded cast. When I say star-studded, I mean star-studded. But before I get into that, I want you guys to see something. Or do you guys like Mexican sweetbread, more specifically conchas? Yeah, you might want to go ahead and check this out. Look at that. There's a heart-shaped concha, cookies and cream flavor. This is by Yoyies Sweets. If you guys want to go check out the Instagram, it will be linked in the bio at the bottom. Trust me, if you live in the Los Angeles area, you might want to contact her to get one of these things because they are absolutely delicious. And if you have the opportunity to get them hot and fresh, do so. Now, with that being said, let's go ahead and get into the review. So, Air, if you don't know what it is, Air is a movie that is about the bidding war for Michael Jordan for his shoe deal, right? So there was a bidding war between Nike, Adidas, and Converse. And Michael Jordan was not trying to have a meeting with Nike at all. Like, if you've watched the Last Dance documentary, then you already know the story, right? Like, I'm familiar with the story, how it came about, so on and so forth. So it was kind of interesting to watch the movie get played out in full detail, right? So it's all about Nike's pitch to Jordan to become their spokesman for the shoe. And not only that, Nike changed the shoe game because they gave him his own specific shoe, right? They created a shoe around the player, which now today that's a very, very common thing with the Kyrie Irving, LeBron James, Kobe Bryant, Kevin Durant, Ja Morant, so on and so forth, like Derrick Rose. Everybody has their own signature shoe. But back then this wasn't common, right? Everybody just wore the same damn shoe. It is what it is, and they're just going to pay you a buttload of money at the time. So again, moving on. So this was just a movie about how Nike came to pitch the idea to Jordan and just behind the scenes look at it. If you like historical movies like this, it kind of reminds me of The Founder, the movie about McDonald's. Definitely, you guys might want to check this out. This might be your type of movie. I was actually surprised that this movie was produced by Amazon Studios. After watching it, it does feel like an Amazon Studios film, so I'm not really surprised. I don't know if it's going to. It might go to Prime after its theatrical run, and like I said, I can't blame Amazon for actually going the theatrical route. I don't blame them from trying to actually put their projects in the movie theaters to make a little bit of money from the public before just pulling it to Amazon. So kudos to them for doing that. But the pros of this movie is, one, the movie has a freaking star-studded cast and the acting is just phenomenal. If you like the story, if you like historical events and things like that, you're definitely going to learn a lot from this movie. Matt Damon's character is very charismatic, super interesting, funny at times. The comedy elements in the movie are funny. Sometimes they kind of go overboard. I'll get into that in the cons. It was good to see Marlon Wayans. It was good to see Chris Tucker in this movie. Like, it's real to me. I always enjoy when I see like old school comedians. Chris Tucker felt like Chris Tucker. It really felt like he was just kind of like playing himself, but like as an older gentleman. If you guys are familiar with Chris Tucker in any movie role, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. Chris Tucker's being just Chris Tucker. But I don't know how accurate any of these characters are to who they were supposed to be, because I mean, I've never sat down and listened to like an interview from, the founder of Nike or the Sonny, the basketball guru, or whoever Marlon Wayans was supposed to be, who's ended up being the ambassador of the Jordan brand. Like, I've never sat down and listened to these things, but again, it was good to watch the movie from the perspective of a Nike and seeing what happened behind the scenes to make this happen. What happened behind the scenes to make this Jordan shoe happen, right? And it was just, it's a fun movie. It's interesting. Now, let's just go ahead and just skip to the cons, right? The cons of the movie. I think the movie was just a little bit too long. I think the movie's clocking in on almost about 2 hours. That runtime is a little bit kind of like, that's a long runtime. For it's almost it's almost 2 hours. It really felt, as you're watching the movie, you really feel like, okay, this kind of scene is going out a little bit too long. That scene is going out a little bit too long. Did this need to be carried out this long, et cetera, et cetera. Especially with the back to the comedy part, to the comedic aspects. There are some comedy bits that go on a little bit longer than what I expected, right? I just felt like, okay, yeah, this is going way too freaking long. Like it's like cut it short already and let's move on. Another thing is, with the movie being the topic of the movie, I really felt like it was really hard for them to come up with a very compelling story about how this came to be. I kind of was questioning the idea of like, okay, how are they going to make this interesting? How are they going to make this work? Because it doesn't seem like there's much story there, right? And as you're watching the movie, you kind of see that there isn't much story there, and they're just dragging out scenes to like elongate the movie. Um, what else? Another con is the comedic aspects. Like I said, the jokes are funny, but they feel like they go too long. And then also they feel a little forced at times. I don't know if these are how the characters or how these people really got down in their day-to-day life, if this is the way that they joke with each other. But at the same time, like I think that it just came off as like, okay, like you're trying too hard. Like, I get it. You got some kind of some comedy people in here, some comedians in here. But at the same time, you don't need to try to crack a joke every 10 seconds in order to break the ice with the audience. Another thing too is cinematography, right? Usually when most movies I'm praising the cinematography, this movie I'm not going to praise the cinematography. I feel like there were some shots in the movie felt a little bit excessive. Some angles felt a little bit excessive. Some breakaways felt a little bit excessive. It just felt like, you know what, that kind of wasn't necessary. Like, it was just times where I felt like they were just moving the camera because they felt like the camera was sitting in one spot too long. And I just felt like it was no need to do that. It kind of takes you out of the scene with the quick breakaways or the focus in and focus out and things like that. Some of the cinematography is questionable, in my opinion. I don't know. I don't know if this is Matt Damon's directorial debut, but if it is, he has some stuff to learn. All right. So but again, him and him and Matt Damon put up the money for this, so can't get mad at that. Anyway, so moving on. Overall, like I said, the movie's fun. It's a fun movie to watch. It's really interesting. Like, again, if you like history, but this is really just a one and done movie. Like, I can't see myself rewatching this movie. I can't see myself like wanting to rent this movie. I just, again, if it comes on TV and I have nothing to watch, I can see myself watching it again. But it's not something that I'm going to track down and try to find. But however, it is a really big moment in sports history, and I think that, you know what, it's for what it is very interesting, and for a generation that doesn't know much about my generation. I know about it, but the generations after me, they don't know much about Jordan, how the brand came to be, what did it derive from, how did it come to be, et cetera, et cetera. Like the whole idea of the percentages, and how that was groundbreaking and historic and like the first of its kind. So with that being said, I think that you guys should definitely check out this movie. So here on the Cinema Chop Shop, we grade these movies in 3 ways. Count them 3 ways: either you get bodied and sent to the bowels of hell, and I tell you your movie's by soda, homie, or I tell you you're spared, which means you should go check it out, go see it, do what you got to do, or I give you a big fat meh, which means it's Masamenos, mediocre, mid-grade, mid, all that good shit. I'm going to have to spare this movie.
He ain't earned the death. He ain't earned the death at my hands. God's only man, spared by the butcher.
Yeah, you heard it, folks. I'm going to spare this movie. If I have to get a letter grade, it's sitting somewhere at a B minus area. It's a good movie. If you like sports history, if you like historical elements, it's definitely up your alley. But if you do not like that type of stuff, then this is not the type of movie for you. But I will say this, that this is a one and done movie. I don't really see too many people going back to the movie theaters, rushing to see this again. The numbers are definitely going to be low second week and third week. I could see them either breaking even or it might be a box office failure. I don't know. But again, since this is produced by Amazon Studios, I'm sure it's going to go on Prime soon. But is this a movie that you have to see in the movie theaters? Definitely not. You can wait for it to pop up on Prime for free if it becomes available. If not, again, it's good for a one-time viewing. If you're into sports history, definitely go see it. If you're not into history at all, you might want to stay at home. If this is not something that interests you, it is not going to interest you at the movie theater. The acting is not going to compel you in any way to stay and watch this movie. Not because the acting isn't good. It's just simply because it's not something that you're into. So that's my review. Let me know if you agree or disagree, whatever the case may be. Drop it in the comment section down below. And you are now exiting the Cinema Chop Shop. Hope you guys have a magnificent day. Adios, homies.